Good evening, everyone. It's Cyril here for the A team tonight, and I'm pleased to be with Crypto Prophet and Token Breeze from the Defi Collective. Hey guys, how's it going?
Good evening. Going great, and you?
Yeah, I'm really good. Crypto Prophet, are you with us?
Yes, hello, sir. Good evening. Hello.
Hey, it's good to see you. Hear you. Okay, so tonight we're having you, Brice, for a very good reason, because we're launching a nice strategy. But before we go deeper into that, I'd like maybe for you to introduce yourself, even if I believe most of us already know you, but it could be just good to introduce quickly yourself and the DeFi Collective.
Sure, yeah. So I'm Bryce. I've been doing DeFi since it was pretty much born about 5-6 years ago. I did a lot of things in the space, but I might be known for my blog that goes into deep dives for DeFi protocol and for being, I want to say, quite the loud voice about maximizing decentralization and resilience of the protocols. This is really what interests me in DeFi. And also, I guess it goes kind of hand in hand, but a form of ethically superior finance. And it's not so hard when we see how low the bar is in regular finance with the lack of transparency, the insider trading, the manipulation, and so on. But still, it's easy to be also not so doing so good on that level in DeFi. So I've been advocating on the two fronts for years now. And since October last year, with some colleagues, I launched a DeFi Collective, which is a Swiss non-profit association that is essentially leading those two battles. It's a bit of a unique structure, and this is a long intro, so I'll try to keep it really short. But the tagline we give is simply that we use DeFi to better DeFi. So the DeFi Collective has its own assets on-chain that it uses to deploy into the most resilient protocols and support their growth in many ways. Our core expertise being liquidity management and liquidity shaping. So we are working with quite a few stablecoins. And yeah, really excited to discuss what can be done with FLIS tonight.
Okay, awesome. I'd like to say hi to DeFi Advisor who joined us during your introduction. Hey, DeFi Advisor, how's it going?
Hello, guys. What's up? Nice to be on. I was on a stream myself just now on Leviathan with the other guys from the A team, actually, and Asymmetry. Was a lot of fun.
Cool.
Happy to be on this one with one of the OGs of the space, Token Bryce. What's up,
definitely.
How's it going, man? A long time.
I'm good. How are you? Not that long. You were on like a month and a half, 2 months ago.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
What's up?
Yeah.
Really curious, honestly, to learn from you a bit more about what you guys have been doing, both on the DeFi Collective, actually, which I think is actually one of the most interesting. I don't know exactly the word in English, ventures or something like that in the space. I really think that you guys have you're a very good example of a bunch of people who actually have a very important cause. Actually, if I understand it correctly, because I think you mostly you mostly decentralized front ends. Token price, or am I just like giving a much too short of a?
No, that's part of it. So I found a
For me,
decent
it's so
way.
huge that I find it as it's a good enough of a cause as itself. You know what I mean? Like
Yes.
decentralized in front ends. Honestly, for a basic user like myself, I think it's huge because maybe for some of the OGs, like they don't even care. Front end, not front end. I just go to this contract, that contract. I get my money, and who cares?
Yes.
But if we really want to create some adoption and have on real people entering the space and leaving the traditional systems and choosing a better path, we have to make the whole process of doing so something that people are willing to do and they feel like easy to do. So personally, for me, I think that touching that bottleneck of front ends is a huge deal, and I really look forward to see what you guys do with it, and looking forward to hear from you what you've already been doing for sure. And I will say one thing. I will say that it's probably for at least a year now with the DeFi Collective, more or less. No. I think that I saw with time, I'm seeing more and more people talk about you guys, and it feels like from the outside that your team is getting bigger, and more people share your cause there. So much respect for leading that, sir, and I think it's a very good direction.
Yeah, thanks for the kind word. Yeah, it's been going quite a bit. So on the front end, we definitely want to tackle this one down. This local app initiative that we call it, it's taking a bit more time than we hoped, but it will definitely be delivered soon. I guess at a high level, we created Collective because we realized that was based from my experience at Equity, that doing a fully decentralized immutable protocol is nice, but to have it grow and be widely used, you need people to perform various kind of tasks to expand its reach. And initially we focused, and we're still quite focused on liquidity management because that was like a conjecture of our expertise, and it's a big need for every protocol. But as the collective is growing, we're kind of expanding into different verticals. And the other day in the space, I used this image of with a little elves of decentralization. Like all this magic, decentralized, immutable stuff that you see, it doesn't happen by magic. It happens because there are people doing various kind of things in the background. And ideally, you want those people to not be the project team. So we can be talking about, hosting front ends, about distributing incentive for liquidity, about triggering some features on smart contracts here and there in a regular, in a frequent manner. And so we really like looking to expand into all those areas to be able to deliver the services for the protocols that really need it. That's kind of like the long-term plan.
That's cool. And I'd like maybe for you to explain the guidelines you recently released to decide which protocol you will support or not on, and how you will support it depending on that. And I will show them on the screen as well. Maybe you could just walk us through the guidelines.
Sure. So yeah, we do have, as I was saying earlier, we have our own assets. We use them to support protocols, but of course, our assets are not infinite. You have on the blog section monthly report for those who are curious about the status of said assets. So the guidelines, and they're a bit bigger than just deciding how we use our assets. The vision is really to provide an evaluation of the decentralization level of a given protocol. And that's something that is not necessarily easy to do and still not well done. There is no standardized review of protocol decentralization. You can find review on the tech practices with things like DeFi safety. You have, I want to say, industry-specific reviews that usually also focus on a theme. So I'm thinking like blueprint.org that does economic review of stablecoin models. but you don't really have a standardized way of assessing decentralization of a protocol. So this is really what we do with those guidelines that we explicited. And what's going to be more interesting is the first protocol reviews that will be coming up frequently now in the coming weeks and months, where we put the guidelines into practice to review a given protocol and essentially argument why we think that would be qualified as what we call genuine DeFi, which is essentially the top tier of the guideline, which correspond to a protocol that is credibly and truly decentralized. Then we have a bit of an in-between tier, where we call monitoring, where there are still some centralization vectors, but there is credibly a strategy in place to decentralize, and the way the protocol has been built enables such decentralization. And then we have another last tier that we call the on-chain CeFi. And here there's just, yes. And here there's just like centralization vectors and no real strategy to decentralize. So yeah, that would fall into that spectrum. So as we released the guidelines, there was a bit of discussion. And right now they stand in a bit of a hybrid state where 95% of what they review is purely technical, but they also review some things that are more based on ethics and behaviors. So for instance, in the transparency term, there would be this question about audits where we explicitly state that project must communicate on their audit, the scope of their audits, the vulnerabilities and mitigation measures put in place, and also communicate clearly on the part and components of the protocol that are not audited. And so, that's like good practice, but it's not really something technical. So currently the thinking about this is that it's going to be maybe a second set of guidelines that is more on impact and behavior. So we have a technical review and then a more mindset review, when I say of the team. Is the team just trying to rob you of some dollars, or they're actually displaying behaviors that would lead us to believe that they are trying to build something of relevance for DeFi? So that's where the guideline stands at.
Okay. That's cool. And I believe our ecosystem definitely needs some kind of standard on that matter. So that's really cool you're working on this. And so you said you'll release like public reports on protocols following the guidelines. Can you disclose already which protocol you'll assess first?
Yeah, of course. So the goal is, and it's a bit like how the collective is going to operate, is maybe 6 months, a year from now, guidelines will be kind of a spin-off of the collective that, we fund, we support, but is even maybe operated by an independent team. In terms of the first protocols to be reviewed, we have a bit of a depth here, which are the protocols we're already supporting, where we're going to be reviewing them first. But after that, so we have a bit of a backlog, the liquidity put together, Possum, DeFi, and so on. But after that, we are considering various ways of essentially helping the community prioritize the protocols that would be reviewed. So we know we need to go through it, but we should have a bandwidth of about 2 to 3 protocol months. And the community might be involved in maybe 1 or 2, so every month there will be a vote, and depending on the result of the vote, they will decide on 1 or 2 protocols to be reviewed. And we keep 1 slot of reviewing to be used kind of for strategic reasons, where there are some protocols we might collaborate with, but we want to have a review before we collaborate with them in the future or things like that. But yeah, so that's how it would be going in a matured state in a few months.
That's really cool, because I guess you've seen that as well on DeFi Frens, but there's always people coming saying, what do you think of this or that protocol? And having like a report from the DeFi collective would just give the answer straight and help people make their own opinion instead of having whatever guru they saw on YouTube saying you can go for it or not.
Yeah, and there is really a lack on that front, because you have like audits, reviewing code, that are very hard to read for regular users. They will just essentially kind of take it as a, I want to say, a Boolean indicator. Is there audit? Cool. If there are no audit, bad. And that's it. They don't kind of consider the scope of the audit, who are the auditors, and so on. An audit is not equal to another. So audits require a lot of context to be used as indicator of anything. And even if they do, it's just about the code. Well, here we are more analyzing, I want to say, the whole design of the protocol. So, governance, dependency, transparency, and really the goal is to have a comprehensive overview of the various centralization vectors there is on a protocol, or the absence of them, as well as the systemic dependencies. So the other protocols or component a given protocol is relying on. And yeah, it wasn't an easy feat to establish those guidelines. So invite the curious to read about them. And we have this notion of systemic versus peripheral, where systemic or non-systemic, we use exactly as a wording. It's essentially this idea that, of course, we will look at a given protocol functions. Some would be deemed systemic and other non-systemic. And from here on, we will tolerate more or less centralization vectors, essentially. So, to put it simply, on a decentralized exchange like Curve or Uniswap, systemic functions are, of course, swapping and providing LPs and withdrawing LPs. So those we will tolerate no centralization vectors, because that means you could find yourself in a situation where you cannot withdraw your assets, for instance. But on non-systemic function, that would be, for instance, the CRV rewards on Curve. If for some reason you get rugged off your CRV rewards as an LP, it's a bad day, but you haven't lost your asset. So non-systemic.
Yeah, makes sense. Makes total sense. Friends from the 18, feel free to ask any question if you want, because I feel I'm kind of monopolizing the.
Yeah. Sorry, maybe I can jump in if it's okay.
Yeah, sure. Feel free whenever you want.
Okay, Token Rice, I want to say first off, really no offense if this comes off a little bit wrong, but I'm not super familiar with it. Would you, and I just listened to this intro very carefully. Is it kind of like a rating bureau then, like a non-profit trying to educate as many people as possible without YouTube gurus? Is that kind of the goal, or am I misunderstanding?
It is a goal of this, indeed, the protocol guidelines, but it's essentially we came to them out of necessity, where we have assets and resources we want to use to support protocols. We use them to support protocols without asking anything in return, without needing payment or compensation. But of course, our resources are not infinite. So we want to allocate them to essentially the most deserving, the most decentralized, trustless protocols. So to do so, we review the protocols. And we figured, as we do it, why not share it publicly? And it could become a useful tool for others, protocol teams, investor, to benefit from the research and the evaluation that is done here.
Oh, okay. But then this is like a side effect actually, and the main goal would be to support protocols with the assets that you have in the non-profit kind of. Can I maybe ask then, how do these assets get into the non-profit? Where do they come from, kind of?
Sure. So yeah, originally in October, there was a team of about six teams of chads who donated to the collective. They donated no strings attached, no condition, to enable the collective to exist. And since then, the collective has been harnessing these assets in DeFi and growing them aggressively. So we started with about $1.3 million worth of assets in October. And the last monthly report was around $4 million. So about tripling of assets total in 6 months. It's not the goal, but of course it's been. So the bigger, the better.
And that's even after the market has been significantly going down this past, I don't know, at least a month. Right?
Yeah. In the meantime, you were pretty exposed to Velodrome and IRO, and that went pretty well for these tokens, correct?
Yes. Velo and IRO were a big driver of the growth and also a big driver of revenue.
Cyril, pretty well? It went pretty well, you say?
It went crazy well.
I'm kidding, of course.
And
okay. Maybe just to
Yeah.
sum up then, I think it's really interesting, Token Bryce. Also like the non-profit structure and stuff, and also that you've made so much returns, which is really good, of course. I'm also a really big Velo and Aerodrome holder for like a long time, so it's a good life for sure. But is there any reason why you're like based in Swiss? Like it's a bit, you have all of these cool things, but it's like a weird combination of them or something, if you get what I mean. No?
I mean, Switzerland is essentially the reason is pretty simple. You know, I would recap it. You know, this meme with the PP going with his long list of, hey, I got a NFT and I staked it and I got an airdrop, and then the airdrop I staked the token.
No, can you find it and show it, Bryce? Can you find?
I don't have it, but essentially, you know, it's the collective is doing very dense DeFi activities on 6 chains. It's doing token locking, LPing, staking, borrowing positions, all kind of things. And so when we were researching to establish the collective, we went around different jurisdictions to just try to talk to the fiscal authority and try to get some sense of clarity on the status we would have for all those actions. And essentially, the only place we were able to get all answers we needed on all our questions, we were very numerous, was in Zug in Switzerland. So we decided to incorporate here. We tried to obtain a tax exemption for non-profit. Sadly, because we were public good, at least in our perspective, sadly they wouldn't give it to us. So we're going to pay tax, but at least we know how much we're going to pay. So it's something we can work with.
Also in Switzerland, by the way, I think it's one of the most interesting topics out there and very relevant, by the way, for many people. So I actually think that if you guys will be able to like have an educating role on that side of things as well, in my opinion, it will be huge. I don't even know if it's connected or relevant or whatever, or how do you see it, but I think that more and more people that will start like dealing with crypto, the importance of, okay, how do you actually set up a business and get like everything going like the right way? It's not that simple at all. I think that like, and I do hear from like several people and see like several people deciding Switzerland to be like their base. You know, it seems like they are, like you said, they first of all answer all the questions. And also, I heard that there's like a flat tax in Switzerland. Is that correct? You know what I mean?
So we had essentially our first fiscal year is going to be concluded in December of this year. So I'm going to have more clarity by then. And also, I'd like to preface that this is not my area of expertise. And lucky for me, I have colleague board members that are much more savvy about this, including Florian, that is actually a lawyer by training, and Niels, that is a developer, but both are from Switzerland. And we're also using an accounting firm that is decently costly, but definitely worth it. So that's pretty much as far as I can go on this.
Yeah, maybe we're going far from the matter of today's call. I don't know if it's even English what I said, but I guess you got my point.
I'm Israeli. For me, it was English for sure.
Okay.
I'm just
So-
like, it's just good propaganda to pretend like we actually pay taxes. No. I'm joking.
No, I actually think
So
it's a
if
very
I'm correct-
professional decision. Like honestly, I think it's a good decision. By the way, I would have thought that places like BVI and Cayman Islands and all that stuff are also like that. But I'm hearing more and more people talk about Switzerland. But either way, I think a good decision. And go ahead, Cyril. Apologize. Take it wherever you want.
Yeah, sure. So you said the collective was funded by a couple of protocols. I imagine Liquidity was one of them. Can you tell about the others?
Yeah, you have all
Someone's joining, and that's CryptoVestor.
Hey guys,
Hey,
I'm sorry.
CryptoVestor, how's it going?
How you doing, sir?
No worries. Good.
Go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead, guys.
No worries. So yeah, you'll find at the bottom of the homepage, actually, you have the list of all the protocols that donated to the collective.
Oh yeah. Okay, let me share it again.
But essentially, yes, Liquidity, Maverick, Polygon Labs, not at launch, but a bit after. And then a few DEXs, Blueprint, Seal, and Retro. Cat in the Box, and you're going to be hearing more about them as V2 release shortly. And Diva, the staking protocol.
Okay, that's really cool. So, okay, I was still sharing the meme. Forgot to go to switch. Yeah, okay, that's better. Okay, cool. So that brings us to maybe the pool we're launching together, because Liquidity is obviously, I imagine it's going to be kind of the base you'll compare any stablecoin to with the DeFi collective guidelines. So I think we can probably say that LUSD is the most decentralized stablecoin on the space. And on our side, there's going to be a pair with FETH, which is, in my opinion, the most ETH native stablecoin, because if you believe in ETH economics, if there's one stablecoin you want to be exposed to, it's probably FETH. So for those who don't already know FX protocol and who are watching us, FETH is a very different stablecoin, because it's only stable because it keeps 10% of ETH volatility. So you keep a little exposure to ETH. So when ETH takes like 10%, FETH will only take 1%. So if you look at it in the long term, it's pretty stable, and it's more stable than most fiat currencies. So that's a design I love. And maybe to take a bigger picture on FX. FX basically creates decentralized stablecoin that have a perfect peg and are scalable, and also give inherent very interesting yield if you stake them into the stability pools. And you can also opt for liquidation-free leverage on either ETH or wrap Bitcoin. We launched that a couple of days ago. So you can get overexposure without having to manage liquidations. So that's for those interested. You can take a look at FX protocol on fx.aladdin.club. I can share it in the chat. And I believe there's probably a link under the video somewhere. So yeah, we're launching a pair with FETH and LUSD on Velodrome pretty soon. Can you tell us a little more about Velodrome and how it works for the users? And
a lot of llama in the room. I have to be careful.
Yeah, you just have you can just talk about Velodrome without comparing it to any other protocol you can think of.
Yes, sure. So
don't worry, we'll be nice. It's okay.
You can also do whatever you want, guys. Like you can compare it to whatever you want and whatever. Like feel free, be
no,
you.
it's cool because I think it's important because you know, I mean, I'm very close friends with the guys at Velodrome and Aerodrome, so I think it's a really interesting product. You know, it's an interesting dynamic. I don't understand enough about it, so you know, Token Bryce, if you can share your knowledge, you know, I'm here to learn as much as possible.
And guys, DeFi is not a one-way street as people like often like maybe, I don't know, perceive it or present it. Like it's a part of the game, and actually think it's kind of fun, to be honest. Like at least some
I think there's enough room for many different designs. So
it's reality, you know, it's nature. It's actually like this is how nature works. Like something happened and then something responds.
Diversity.
Something something evolved. Like that's the whole point. What's the point of saying, okay, no, it's good for everyone, like forever? It's not how people are, and it's interesting. And by the way, Velodrome is getting some something's happening there. Like no one can deny it. Like and people know that I personally I'm into Curve. There's no second way about it. But like Velodrome is working. I'm not you can't argue with stats. And by the way, I've had Alex on as well on Leviathan sometimes. Alex is a brilliant guy, amazing guy, and such a nice and educated. What I'm saying is, it's like there are many lanes to that road that we're taking, and it's important to drive on each lane and for each to choose their own lane. Like, that's the whole point, having different lanes and not just one lane. This is decentralization. This is actually decentralization.
Yes. So yeah, Velodrome is a DEX native to Optimism, and it implements an interesting model for the bootstrapping and supporting of liquidity pools. A model that is essentially curve inspired in the sense that it will use this mechanism of gauges, where a holder of the lock token, so VEIRO, locked up to 4 years, can vote weekly on gauges to allocate emissions to given pairs. Now, the cooking, the way the rewards are distributed is quite different from Curve. So the analogy can stop here. But what it enables is essentially a project that holds VEIRO, VVelo, sorry, and that sees a decent volume of trading on the pairs, can sustain emissions to the pair at a very effective cost and even at a net benefit. So it kind of turns, the whole experience of supporting liquidity into a long-term investment rather than a continuous expense. But yeah, in all case, it's actually really good timing for launching the FE pool, because the concentrated liquidity pools have been coming to Velodrome over the last few weeks, have been maybe a month ago. And for FS, it's particularly relevant because it didn't really match any of the previously available liquidity structure, so the VAMM and StableSwap, because as Cyril was saying, depending on the movement of ETH, it can fluctuate up or down. So StableSwap was not optimal in that regard. And of course, Uniswap V2 pool wouldn't have been ideal either. So for FEs, what's being used is what they call a CL50, which is essentially a pool with a bit more wider ticks. Well, we have a lot of noise in the background. I don't know who that is, but it's about
I don't hear it. I don't hear any noise.
Oh,
Do you guys hear it?
Cryptovestor,
Yeah,
Cryptovestor, can you maybe mute while you're not talking?
Or it's okay. I'll pause
I will show our viewers how to find the pool, because it's not bootstrapped yet, so it's not displayed straight from this tab. You just
it will
have to go to
display inactive in starting Thursday, as soon as the rewards
Okay.
are essentially. It's just because right
Yeah.
now there is no rewards for liquidity
But
providers.
you can find it like that. Just going to all pools, and yeah, that's it. And there is already a little liquidity, just very
just $50.
yeah.
But yeah, it's been whitelisted and everything, right? It's good to go.
The pool is here, but we're waiting for the Velo team to whitelist the rewards and start the gauge on the pool. So hopefully it's going to be whitelisted for Thursday, so we will be able to how do you say, incentivize? Yeah, incentivize the pool starting Thursday. But
well, anyone can deploy the gauge if it's whitelisted. So yeah, we'll check with the colleagues of the collective tomorrow morning, and if it's whitelisted, we'll deploy the gauge and get some votes to start.
I've asked the pool yesterday about the whitelisting of FXN, but it can take a little while. So they're making their best to have it whitelisted for Thursday, but we'll see. So stay tuned, friends. It's coming, Matt. We don't exactly know when.
Is there any liquidity for FXN on Optimism?
Not yet, but we'll have to work on that as well.
Yeah, that might be.
But you can bridge it. You can bridge it.
Yeah.
For our viewers, you can bridge FETH using FX UI. I don't know if you see it already. There's a bridge tab here, and okay, it's opening a new tab. But from here, you can bridge liquidity from Ethereum to Optimism, and you can choose any token you want to bridge. Yeah, can you still hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
Sure. We'll just
Okay.
mute it. We don't want to make that everyone's trying to make sure the noise is coming from there.
Yeah, okay. Okay. So yeah, back to Velodrome. So that's the pool. And you were saying that's CL50. So that's what we're seeing here.
Yes.
So basically,
What that
you were
means,
saying
I'm
it's
not really sure what
Sorry?
Can you
Yes,
explain
what it means?
Sure. Yeah, it's a matter of tick spacing. So, CL1 is essentially the lowest tick spacing. So it's used for essentially tight peg stablecoin. So, an USDC, USDT pair or something like that, you will find in CL1. And most stablecoin actually are on CL1. And that just means, for each tick, you have a very small price area. So, for instance, a tick might be 0.99821. And you see what I mean?
Yes.
Versus a CL50 means a tick is 50 times wider. So a tick here might be, I don't know, 0.996 to 0.9965, for instance. So,
So
much
is that like the A factor for Curve? Something like
Yes,
that?
it would be similar than A factor,
I see.
the bigger, except it works the other way around, because A factor is the bigger A factor, the more concentrated it is. Here, it's the bigger the CL number, the wider the tick.
I
So
see.
it's kind of opposite as A factor.
Interesting. Okay. Got it.
So if I'm correct on this new slipstream feature they released, it's pretty close to Uni v3 user experience, right? When you
Yep.
when you LP.
Yeah.
Okay.
Main difference would be how you paid, essentially, because essentially you have a choice on Velo, where you will LP that pair, so you choose your range and you input your token, just like on Uniswap v3. Then you get your LP NFT, and now essentially you have a choice where you can choose to stake it, and this is how you receive the Velo emissions, or you can choose to not stake it, and then you're exposed to the fees of the pair, 90% of the fees of the pair. So it's really like kind of pick what you rather. Either you have fees directly, but of course they're volatile, depends of trading activity and so on. Or if you want a more predictable recurring income, you can stake it and you get the Velo emissions instead.
And what's with the displayed APRs? Are they fees or Velo emissions?
They're emissions of a Sweetix. So that's why they can be quite insane. Yes.
Emissions of, sorry, I didn't get it.
Of a Sweetix of liquidity. So depending of your concentration, you might have less APR. Yes, LUSD, USDC is paying quite well. We're pushing it hard right now. That's also why.
Let's hope we'll see the same on the LUSD FETH pair. Because that's, in my opinion, that's a pretty nice stable exposure to have, like two of the most ETH native stable coins. And even if it's bridged on Optimism, it's I feel way more comfortable than being exposed to any other centralized stablecoin. For those who still have stablecoins.
Yeah, it does seem like a good fit. Obviously, like two very, very decentralized products, right? Paired together. So it'd be interesting to see how this does. I mean, we'll certainly be pushing it on our side. I think it's really interesting, and I do agree. I think that LUSD is probably the battle-tested, decentralized stablecoin in the space. Everything else really has some kind of exposure to some kind of centralized risk.
Yeah, and it's turning into a cool liquidity hub on Velodrome, where we've been growing pair with other, let's say, decentralized stablecoin that are kind of friendly to that cause. So High, for instance, or Grai. So through LUSD, you have that would be essentially the common pairing of all of these. So decentralized stablecoin lovers rejoice. You can essentially hop from one decentralized stable to another pretty easily now.
Cool. Yeah, I totally agree. Totally agree.
And what should LPs be careful with if they want to provide liquidity to the upcoming FETH LUSD pool?
Yeah, sure. I mean, it's a bit of a game of how much risk of being out of range you'd like to take. So if your goal is to maximize the APR, the more concentration, the better. But keep in mind that FETH has its own volatility against ETH. So if you want to maximize the time spent in range, which might lead to more return, it might be better to opt for a bit of a more broader range. And then, of course, 1/10 of the volatility of ETH on FETH versus LUSD being very stable. So essentially, you can also form your concentration range depending on your price assumptions. So if you think ETH is going to appreciate, give more room for the upside in your pairing, so that FETH can appreciate against LUSD and you stay in range further. And same way the other way around.
And that's if FETH is well arbitraged from mainnet to optimism. I'm very curious to see how it's gonna handle if people will arbit or not. Because maybe in the first instance of the LP, it's just not going to be arbitrage, and you will have like pretty steady price range and like massive yield on that price range. I don't know. We'll see that.
I had a quick question about LUSD, and I know that there was supposed to be a Liquidity V2 coming up soon. Is that still scheduled, and how will that affect the current pools? I assume it's going to be a new stablecoin with a different contract address.
Yeah, it's still stated for Q3 of this year, and it would be a different stablecoin with different contract address indeed, but essentially no impact on the current pool. It would have its own incentivization mechanism, and there'll likely be another pair with bold LUSD then.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Yeah, because in the end, it's just like two different risk approach and just two different design, and they can live together. I mean,
yeah. No, it makes sense. Like there's just different risks associated with each one. So V1 might be the less risky, or people might choose to prefer to LP in something like a pool like that versus something that's a little bit more complex. Makes sense.
And V2 is going to be backed by LSTs, whereas V1 is only native ETH, so it's a different risk profile as well.
Similar to what FX did with RUSD, right? Like we have a separate stablecoin for the LRT version or the LRT. Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to Bold and see how it's gonna handle this whole user set interest mechanism. I'm really looking forward to it. And I was thinking, because I heard you saying that the DeFi collective is also going to be and how you say, like an operating rates for users.
An interest rate delegatee.
Yeah, that's the correct name. And I was thinking maybe like MEV operators could have like leverage on that as well.
Oh wow, yeah, that's a brand. I'm not sure though, because interest rate is not something like that direct. It's compounding effect over time. So I'm not sure if there would be any interest in terms of MEV there. But we expect several types of profiles to be delegated, not just a collective. Maybe some big names of DeFi that are known for risk management or whatsoever in other protocols would like to get involved too. Because there can be, it's a bit like the front end of Liquidity V1. There can be a form of fee charged by the interest rate delegatee, so that could turn into a stream of income. And especially those that are able to capture a lot of borrowing volume delegated with interest delegated to them, meaning they provide a very efficient service where they minimize interest paid by borrowers while avoiding redemptions. Those might be profitable ventures, essentially.
Yeah, but imagine you're able to modify the interest rate of a borrower within the transaction and avoiding him to be redeemed within the redemption transaction, like always being on the edge, with the perfect borrowing cost.
Oh wow, yeah,
That's
that would
something
be
you could pay for. People would pay for.
Yes,
Yeah.
but that means this entity needs to be able to monitor redemptions and front run the redemptions with an interest rate adjustment. And I need to double check the white paper is coming soon. Is the interest rate modification essentially instant, or is there a delay there? Because maybe that's something that has been considered.
Yeah, that's interesting, because I figured if I had the technical abilities, I would definitely look into it.
Yeah, I don't think there will be like easy way to game it. At least with the collective, we approach it more with we're not going to be the one offering the mandate with the lowest interest rate, but our goal with the mandate will really be to be the one that never get redeemed. And of course, that has a cost in terms of interest rate, but we believe there will be a demand for that.
Okay, sounds good. That's very interesting. I'm really looking forward to it. But in the meantime, let's go back maybe to our FETH LUSD pool. So the ETA on that is probably going to be, so if we start bribing, incentivizing on Thursday, so the LP will be able to get incentives only next Wednesday. Am I correct? Starting
yes, so the bribes have a 1 week delta if they posted this Thursday. So I just pinged the Velo team, hoping to have FETH whitelisted for incentives today, tomorrow, so we can essentially soft launch the pool with just a bit of vote this week, and then you guys can add firepower with bribes next week. That would be best case scenario.
Yeah, that's cool. So in the meantime, if any of you guys are interested in LPing on Optimism, feel free to enjoy any low gas moment to mint from FX protocol and bridge it to Arbitrum. I can just maybe share quickly the UI, the UI here. So here, you guys can find all the different assets FX created. So here you'll see FX USD, which is LRT backed USD pegged stablecoin, and all the X tokens, which give you liquidation free leverage on ETH. You'll find BTC USD, which is our latest USD pegged stablecoin, but which is backed by RAT Bitcoin, and you can get liquidation free leverage on Bitcoin here. And here you get RUSD, which is RT based, backed USD based stablecoin that you can stake and earn points, Eigenlayer and Renzo and EtherFi points, or get leverage on ETH. And finally, my little favorite here in the end, FETH, that you can mint here or also get leverage on ETH here. You can mint it here and then use the bridge from the tab here to bridge it to Optimism. Do you think of anything else I should add, A-Team friends? And here, that's interesting. You can see the NAV of FETH, because we were saying in the beginning of this space, for those who just joined us, that it's only stable because it keeps 10% of ETH volatility. So here you can see the evolution of its NAV. FETH was launched last August, if I recall correctly, and I'm not sure we have the whole. No, it's only starting from it's only last month, I believe, the actual month. But you can see that it's going from 105, 106.
Yeah, I think when it launched at 1, right? So it's gained 6 cents since in a year, based on the volatility of ETH.
Yeah, exactly. And
this is why you keep saying
when
it
I
makes sense to hold it, because it actually appreciates its value and it combats inflation because you have a stablecoin that's tied to the price of ETH.
Exactly, and to its economics actually, which are way healthier than others, to stay polite as well. And when I first discovered about FETH, I did the exercise of okay, yeah.
Yeah, I
Brice,
just wanted to
you
say
had
very
to
quickly. I'm sorry, I have to hop up. I'm in another space on the other earphone. It's exploding.
Okay.
Right,
Well,
that was really
thank
nice
you very
chatting.
much for joining us, and we'll definitely share more about the launch of the pool. So if you guys are watching us, feel free to follow the different accounts, the DeFi Collectives accounts, Liquidity's accounts, and of course FX Protocol account. And I will show that nice ticker down here if you want to
Awesome.
follow us, and we'll hear more about it.
Thank you for joining.
Looking forward to
Bryce.
growing that pool.
Appreciate
Enjoy.
it.
Yeah,
Your time.
definitely.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for coming
See you,
back.
Brice. Thanks for
Take
coming.
care.
And yeah, I don't recall what I was saying before.
About FETH or something, no?
Yeah, about FETH. Oh yeah. When I first heard about FETH, I did this little exercise of comparing FETH volatility to euro, because I live in Europe and I spend euros every day, and as a DeFi user, I'm very used to being exposed to USD and to in DeFi, and I figured that FETH volatility to euro is lower than USD to euro volatility. So
That's
it's
interesting.
like more convenient to be exposed to FETH than to be USD exposed as a European citizen.
Yeah, it's going to be
And of
interesting
course,
to see, when there's a bull market, a really big ETH bull market, and you see FETH trading at $1.20 or $1.30, and it's going to be something that's when I think people are going to start understanding what the power is of a stable coin that's pegged like that. Right now, everybody's so focused on having a USD peg, but not really understanding the fact that the value of the USD keeps going down in value. And so if you have something that's constantly appreciating, same with BTC USD, right? You have something that's tied to, well, there it's pegged.
USD.
But
it's pegged.
It'd be interesting to create like a BTC version of FETH, where you have 10%
At some point,
volatility. Because you would have something where you're tied to the value of Bitcoin over time, and you would think that would also beat inflation, lower volatility than even ETH.
Yeah, at some point, I believe if the paradigm shifts happens on FETH, there will probably be demand on a BTC iteration.
Yeah, I would imagine that, and I would think that we need to get through some kind of a bull market in stable coins. Well, once people get through all the good ones, the bad ones, and there's some that are going to fail, there's going to be a realization that some of these interesting ones that are tied to these assets are going to be better than just dollar pegged assets.
Yeah, probably. And we know other stable coins are going to fail, but the sad thing is it's always when centralized stable coins fail that people start caring about decentralization.
Right.
We've seen that before, like when USDC depegged, like LUSD pumped so much, it was insane.
Yeah, I think FXUSD probably is going to, something similar would happen to FXUSD too, because of the way it's designed. You're going to have a lot of people interested in, if there's ever a major depeg event like that, we're going to see the ones that survive are going to be the ones that hold the peg. So yeah, FETH, FXUSD, all of these products, I think, are going to be very important in the future.
Definitely, because especially on the peg matter, because on the peg matter, all the FX stablecoins are like no-brainers, because they're for viewers discovering about FX. All the FX stablecoins are minted and redeemed at Oracle price, so there's always a good arbitrage to do with the protocol itself. and that makes the stablecoin very stable. And there's a good question in the chat from Brice saying he's familiar with Velodrome. That's cool. So you'll be able to LP easily, but not with Aladdin. So how long have they been around? That's a very good question.
Long time.
Aladdin has been around, I'd say, for the last 3 or 4 years. The Aladdin DAO first released 2 protocols which are very Curve ecosystem based. First one is Concentrator. Yeah. That's correct me if I'm wrong, Cryptovis, or that's basically a yield aggregator, allowing you to not auto compound into the underlying, but compound into another yield bearing token. So you can compound like yield bearing ETH, yield bearing CRV, for instance,
instead of token.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Instead of auto compounding into, like, let's say, a stable pool. And then there was Clever, which gives liquidation-free leverage on CVX from Convex. Is that correct? I'm not very familiar with Clever, to be honest. Can you explain it maybe a little?
Yeah, it basically gives liquidation-free leverage, so you can deposit your CVX and you can receive Clev CVX up to 50% loan to value. And then you can deposit the Clev CVX into the furnace, or you can use it, swap it for more CVX and loop the strategy. Once it's deposited into the furnace, as the bribe yield comes in, the Clev CVX is burned and you end up with CVX as the yield. It's what I understand, or how I basically understand it. And so now we we had a space this morning about asymmetry finance, which is taking Clever and amplifying it, simplifying it, I should say, by tokenizing the whole Clever process. So it will auto compound. It will, you deposit your CVX with asymmetry, and it will deposit it into Clever and into staked CVX, and then it will auto compound all of your earnings back into more AF CVX. So there's things being built on top of Clever now, and so I think that's something that I think Aladdin was always expecting something like that would eventually happen.
Okay, and there's another question from Brice asking if the Aladdin team is doxed. None of the core team is doxed. It's mostly a pseudonymous team. Here for a couple of years now, with a couple of protocols running with no issues. So yeah, that's it. That's a choice they made. But feel free to do your own research and reading the docs and looking at what's been done for the past few years. Guys, do you want to add something in avec plaisir, Brice? If anyone wants to ask any question in the chat, feel free to. If not, that's probably a good place to wrap up. Do you guys want to add something?
I don't really have anything to add. I mean, I caught the tail end of the conversation, so I don't know if you guys have DeFi Advisor. I don't know if you have anything.
Well, I actually think that I don't know how much time you got, but I think that what we talked, I don't know. I think we should talk about AFCVX at least a bit, because it's related to Clever. But,
yeah.
Only if you guys have some time for it, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, sure.
I don't have a lot longer, but yeah, why not? I see another question in the chat.
Just a few minutes, and maybe
sure.
let people know that they can. First of all, watch the interview that we had 2 hours ago or an hour ago on Leviathan News with the Asymmetry guys. They are.
Oh yeah, maybe you guys can share it in the chat, a link to the interview you had with the Asymmetry guys. Yeah, that would be helpful for the viewers in the chat. But I'm not sure.
Go ahead.
I don't know if when I post into the chat, since I'm hosting the space, I'm not sure it's posted everywhere. I know it's posted on YouTube. I'm not sure it's posted on Twitter as well somewhere.
I'm also not sure.
Just I'm posting the link to this Leviathan space.
To YouTube, to YouTube it goes for sure. And honestly, the link, I think the streams on X, they reach more people, but several times lately, people told me that the stream is cut in the middle. Like now, I'm going to the stream. I'm going to the stream now to the tweet that I shared the broadcast of the Leviathan broadcast. And instead of it being for like an hour, like it was, I see that it's for 16 minutes.
Oh, wow.
And also, IW from the community, you know him? I'm sure you do. Crypto Free.
Yeah, sure.
He said on our group on TG, he said that the link, the broadcast is cut, and then I shared the YouTube link, and on YouTube the streams work better. But I don't know. It's something.
Okay.
It's not the first time. It's not the first time I'm seeing it. To be honest, this happened last week for sure, and I'm starting to think maybe it happened on other occasions, and I just didn't notice.
Is it a bug, or is it something a limitation we don't know about?
I think it's a bug. I actually think it's a bug, but I don't. I actually, who knows?
I'll look into it.
It keeps recurring. Maybe it's only for like, maybe you have to be a premium user, but I'm not sure if we are on like, I don't know.
Good news, we now are premium users, and if I'm correct, the stream is supposed to be streamed from both the A-Team accounts and also the DeFi Collective account tonight. And I'm expecting for next week to be able to stream it from the different Aladdin accounts as well, depending on the subject of the day. There's a very good question from Jean-Philippe in the chat.
No, it's not. Wait, you're right. It's also on the DeFi Collective account.
Yeah, I hope it is. I subscribed yesterday. Yeah,
it is, and it's also here. It seems to be still working smoothly. Like, let's check after that. The whole video is on, but I don't know. When I check it here on my X account, now from the DeFi Collective I've entered, and I see the same space. Cyril is just such a handsome guy. And Investor, you want to make? He's
he just left, and he's saying bye to everyone. And before we end this space, I'd just like to answer Jean-Philippe's question in the chat. How ALD stakers holders benefit from the growing ecosystem and profitable protocols launched, like Concentrated, Clever, and FX. If I'm correct, ALD, so ALD is the token from Aladdin DAO, and each project has its own token, but ALD basically owns 30% of all the protocol's tokens, and they are maxed locked. So ALD basically in the long term will earn all the revenue from the token of the protocol launched by Aladdin. So already launched and to come. So
yes, but still let's just add it. Right now it's not occurring any of this revenue.
No. All the revenue are
some proposal will actually be processed, and the new version of ALD will because this was the first token by the DAO, when the initial idea for the DAO was a bit different with the Bullet Council and all that stuff that are from years ago, and to be honest today are not really relevant. And also a few months ago, I don't know if people know that actually, I think it's an important fact about ALD. The original supply initially was supposed to be 1 billion. And because it should have been shares of this big investing fund that Aladdin DAO should have been. Okay. But as the DAO started producing its product and shifting direction, it also became clear that ALD will also need some kind of a revamp and a change. And just a few months ago, the first proposal on that front has passed, cutting the supply of ALD from 1 billion that it should have been on the max to its current supply, pretty much. And I think now it's completely limited out of about 150 million tokens.
Yeah.
So it drastically actually changed the
tokenomics.
supply side of the ALD
Yeah.
token as a first step for what's coming, specific revenue sharing version. At least that's what we're discussing in the DAO, but nothing is completely decided yet. So feel free, guys, by the way, to come and express your opinion and try to participate in the process as well. Make it as much of a DAO as possible.
Yeah,
and,
definitely.
But personally, I do think that ALD definitely also a token that people who are interested in Aladdin DAO should check. Not financial advice, but also in a way, like I do advise you to check it, if you know what I mean, like to make some.
Just look into it.
Personally, for me, I hold ALD. I'm lucky to earn ALD from the DAO through the A team. And I am keeping like most of it, at least for now, because I'm very interested in seeing what this new version will. And also, to be honest, for me, I think it's another token who is still undervalued relative to the market in general. I mean, I don't see it remaining in its current ranking, let's say.
Yeah. So to answer Jean-Philippe's question, ALD at the moment does not receive any of the revenue of the underlying tokens. So if the supply cap is capped now, where does the yield come from to stakers? I have no idea about that.
I'm not sure these stats are updated, by the way. We should check. We should actually check with the team. That's a good thing that you pointed out.
We should ask that. That's very, very interesting. So at the moment, I'm not sure the XALD has any yield, but it's basically getting exposure to all the protocols already launched. And it could be interesting because we often see the underlying value of CVX, for instance, or stuff like that. It could be very interesting to see what's the underlying value of ALD, because ALD holds 30% of all the three protocols tokens. So it could be interesting too. I'm not sure. I haven't seen any dashboard like that. It could be interesting.
I don't think I did either.
Yeah. If one of you likes doing dashboards, feel free to do it. It's good. Maybe people realize the token is under or overpriced. I have no idea. Really, I never did the exercise. So there's no yield at the moment. You just get exposure to all the actual and future protocols of Aladdin DAO, and there is no further ALD to be minted ever. That's all. Okay, guys, to wrap up, and we got it. Jean-Philippe will definitely give that feedback to the team, and I don't know. Maybe there's still yield. I don't know.
Maybe the yield is coming from some other token, and it is happening, but I'm not sure because I don't I'm not sure, to be honest. I don't want to just say, because I know that the original staking of ALD has emitted, is fully emitted, the 150 million tokens are out.
That's for sure.
So
that's for sure. And I know the FXN.
Jean-Philippe, we will publish about it or update about it on our next stream. And by the way, feel free to join the Discord and raise it there, so we make sure because there it's the place that that is easiest to consistently communicate with the community and making sure that everything is answered. So feel free to raise it on the Aladdin DAO channel on Discord as well. And we will also check it with the guys and talk to you about it if we find you.
Yeah, the team is always active in the Discord all day long. So feel free to ask there, and I will also send a message to ask about that, because I know for sure that there's no more ALD being minted, and the VFXN revenue are not distributed to ALD. But I don't know about the CTR and Clev.
I don't think they are. I'm not sure as well, but from what I know, I don't think there are, and that's why I think that we should check, because I'm not sure about that specific stat and display. And I know that the team has been doing so much, and maybe it's just another thing, you know what I mean? Maybe someone
just a UI glitch probably.
Yeah,
Yes.
let's check it.
Yep. Okay, well, guys, thank you very much for joining DeFi Advisor. Thanks everyone for watching us. Feel free to share if you enjoyed here with us. Feel free to share that a space or YouTube video to your friends and family, and to subscribe to the different accounts. So the A-Team accounts and Protocol FX accounts. Like, share, and all the stuff that can help us reaching more and more people.
Exactly.
And have a good day, night, or whatever you're living. Yeah.
Thank
whatever
you,
your time
Cyril.
zone. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Cyril, for hosting another great one. Appreciate that.
Yeah. It's always a pleasure. Always a pleasure. And looking forward to the next event.
Yeah,
Probably
indeed.
next
And
week.
thanks everyone for tuning in as well. Thank you, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.